A common question I get from people who are starting their businesses as academic coaches or tutors or in the world of one-to-one student coaching, or from people who have started their businesses but they're having trouble jump-starting it, is how niche should I get in terms of my perfect client who I want to work with? Now, some people come in just not knowing who they want to work with, and they're simply thinking just like, yeah, students who struggle. I was a teacher, now I want to be a coach or a tutor. Students who struggle in some capacity, right? That's like the widest part of the niche funnel. Others have some ideas like, well, maybe I want to work with students with ADHD, or actually college students are my jam, or middle school students are my jam, or even students shifting from 6th grade to 7th grade. Or some people want to be even super niche, like, oh, twice exceptional girls who also struggle with perfectionism. And so a question is, how niche is too niche, and when do you niche? When you are in the process of starting your own business. So here is a little graph or flow chart actually that shows how I typically think about these questions. Over here, we've got people who either come in with the no niche or a super specific niche, but it's a fantasy. If you've never had your own business before and you're transitioning, say, from teaching or some other career that's not actually in student coaching, you think you know who you want to work with, but it's a fantasy, right? It's just like, ooh, oh yeah, this is the kind of client I think would be the perfect client for me. And usually what I suggest in both these cases is the same thing. At the beginning, work with anyone. I mean, if you want to put it out there in all your marketing language to be super specific, go for it and try it. But when other people come to you, I really recommend for a period of time working with anyone. Now, something that's very special about the way I do my Rock Your Biz training for student coaches is I have you start your business while you're learning how to be a coach, both at the same time. And that's really different than most people. Most people teach you how to be a coach first and then have you start your own business. But I love for you to get a few sample clients, see what it's like to actually be paid, and practice teaching some of the things you're learning as you're learning them. And I love that coaches can model, like be learners and model that learning to the students they're working with. And then you, the coach, are also learning how to work with students who are actually motivated. They're not just practice clients, they're actually motivated, and their parents are motivated to pay you. So for that reason, I think it's great to start working with anyone, and then you can start collecting some data around who do I like to work with. Maybe you'll be surprised. Maybe there'll be some clients, like as an example, one of the kinds of clients I was surprised by is I just loved creative girls. Now, that shouldn't be a surprise, right? Because what am I? I am a creative girl. So I could have maybe known, if I really thought about it when I first started my academic coaching business, that maybe I could focus my business on that kind of student. But I'm glad I didn't right away, because I had all kinds of experiences with all kinds of students with learning differences, different kinds of learning differences. Some of those creative girls did have learning differences. Some of them did not, and more like me, just were so wildly creative, had a hard time focusing in on how to learn in the midst of their creativity, or how to be motivated in the midst of wanting to just do all these fun things. And through the process of working with anyone, then you actually then can choose a specific niche based on the reality of all your experiences and the data you collected. Now, I've worked with hundreds and hundreds of academic coaches at this point. Okay, maybe not hundreds and hundreds, maybe just hundreds. But one of the things that I have noticed is somewhere in this process of working with anyone, they start wrestling and even wanting to resist parts of who they actually are, the coach, who the coach is deeply inside. And it turns out that some of the people that we're most suited to work with as clients are people who match some of our most precious, precious identities inside. Hence, for me, for example, creative girls. So when people start asking this question about niching, they often ask it early on in their training time with me. And then once they start going out to get clients, the question drops a little bit. But then later on, towards the end of their time building their businesses with me, my program is or was at least a year long. At that point, towards the end of that year, they start wrestling with, well, actually, these clients I really like, but these other kinds of clients just are draining or take so much energy away from me. But the coaches have a hard time allowing that to be okay because once you open the doors to this world, there are lots of students who need support. But just because a student needs support doesn't mean that you should be the one to work with them. So here are some questions that I notice we end up talking about in our community calls when they're wrestling with giving themselves permission to go after the kind of client they want to go after. It's like, who are you now? Who were you as a student? Are there parts of your life story that you can accept even more fully? Don't resist those parts of your life story. Who is naturally drawn to you? Who is easy and joyful for you to work with, both the students or maybe even also the parents? These are such a rich grouping of questions to be reflecting about as you are going through the process of working with anyone. And then you can, the beauty of marketing language is it's always a draft, and you can hone it and hone it and hone it until you've really landed. These are the right people for me, and this language helps bring them to me. Now, a lot of people get scared thinking like, oh, if I get too specific, like if I say I only work with juniors in high school as they transition to college, what if other people don't come to me, but I'm really willing to work with those people too. And the beauty is you can get specific with your niche and inside your marketing language, but then other people ask, hey, could you work with me too? So you don't have to not work with those other people the more honed you get about your niche. So what do I want your takeaways from this video to be? It's like two opposite takeaways that are in tension with each other. One of them is don't niche too soon. Seriously, play, experiment, get the word out there, see who comes to you, say yes to almost everyone at the beginning. Don't niche. But then the other piece is pay attention, reflect, be willing to niche, be willing to own parts of you that you've forgotten are important to you, and allow your clients to actually mirror those parts back to you. That's where the really joyful, juicy work is. Now, I'll end this video, I think, by letting you know that, so in my whole career trajectory, right, I started as a teacher, I became an academic coach working with students, and now I'm not working directly with students anymore, but I'm working with adults who want to be trained as coaches and teachers who want to be trained in the anti-boring toolkit. And what I'm noticing is that the people who seem to be attracted to my approach, the anti-boring approach, are creative in some way, usually are coaches and not teachers. There was a period of time when I was really trying hard to market more to classroom teachers, but I kept on meeting resistance. It kept on not working. Now, was it not working? A disowned part of myself that I wasn't fully owning is that I'm not a classroom teacher anymore. I am fully and thoroughly an academic coach, and I don't really even, ever want to be back in the classroom. I want to have these deep, intimate connections that I can have in the context of my own business that I have created for myself. And if that's who I am, that's who I attract. And also I am a addictive learner, right? I love to learn new things. So guess what? The people who tend to come to my course are people who love to learn new things and love to add tools to their toolbox. And it's been so fun. The more I embrace and accept who I am, the more my business world reflects some of my favorite parts of myself back to me. And that means that the community calls that I lead now inside the Anti-Boring Educators Club are some of my most joyful moments during my month, because I get to meet other people where we mirror these wonderful qualities to each other. And it's easy. And it's easy. I have reached that part of my career where I don't have to try hard to plan everything anymore. I don't have to be overproductive. I can trust that I've got all of my competencies inside me. I know how to improvise. I know or improvise within a structure that is rigorous. I should add that. And I know how to shine my light brightly so that people who recognize my brilliance because they have it too can come to me. And that's what true marketing is. And that's what niching is eventually about. But you've got to let yourself go broad and be willing to be surprised and be willing to search deeply inside of yourself to check in about what are some disowned parts of me. And then hone and hone and hone as you go. I hope this was helpful to you. If you could give it a quick like, if there was something that you took away that was useful, I would so appreciate that. And if you want any follow-up advice, a behind-the-scenes look at how to get your business off the ground, you can get it at gretchenwegner.com/crash course. That is where I pull back the curtains to show you how I actually began my one-to-one coaching business back in the day, and it's free for you. So enjoy that if you'd like it, and I'll see you in the next video.